Good evening, and welcome to this week's episode of Economic Forum, your weekly program that covers all aspects of the Zimbabwean economy, be it politics, trade, religion, and mining, among others. I am your host, Rufara Tafa, and it is good to have you along. On today's episode, we take a close look at the educational sector, paying close attention to the transition between Education 3.0 to Education 5.0, and how it has merged significantly with entrepreneurship in the economy. One of the students we have here with us to take a look at how it has impacted the youths is TINASHE MUZITE, who is a student and entrepreneur. TINASHE, it is good to have you.
Thank you very much, Rufaro. It's a pleasure to be here.
I understand you are both a student and entrepreneur. Tell us a bit more about that.
I'm an entrepreneur majoring in the field of system designs and software development. I'm also a student at a local university studying economics second year.
What inspired you to blend economics and IT?
I saw it to venture in IT as you know that key determinants of how successful business is measured on e-marketing.
With the mention of IT and how you've mentioned that it's a dynamic industry, it's a developing industry,
Yes.
how do you think that merges perfectly with Education 5.0 that focuses on innovation and industrialization?
As you know that as a country, we are trying to industrialize, we are trying to groom our industry to follow. So the only way or the only path which we have to follow is through innovation. And through innovation, you talk about technology. Technology about thinking new things, thinking about new, better ways of doing business. So with technology, it plays a crucial role in determining the future of our economy. As you know that new innovations are the drivers, the key drivers into economic growth.
Speaking of innovation, you are a young entrepreneur. You're both a student and an entrepreneur. Tell us more about your understanding of what entrepreneurship is all about.
Entrepreneurship is a process, from my own perspective, whereby you are taught how to generate an idea into a business, how to start that business, how to run that business, and how to expand that business. So it creates an ideology whereby you are taught how to identify possible solutions to existing problems in the market. So with these problems, you are able to set prospective goals towards achieving the possible solutions which you have identified, managed to identify in the market, and also set a vision for your project.
I understand that one of the key elements that you brought up in your entire response was to do with the youth being able to be equipped to then start their own projects, to turn an idea into a business. How do you feel that Education 5.0 has equipped you as a student and as part of the youth to be able to implement your ideas into actual business concepts?
With the coming in of Education 5.0, we're able to see that more is yet to be done on developing the skill in young individuals in different fields they are majoring, their studies, so as to come up with the real requirements needed to run businesses in the market. Yes.
The real requirements are the ones that are the most crucial in any business. What are some of the real requirements you've learned from the new educational system that have better equipped you to be able to run your own business?
With the coming in of Education 5.0, we've been taught how to be innovative in different areas or in different perspectives we're in, as it emphasizes on major departments like agriculture, like mining, like pharmaceuticals, so as to become self-efficient. So with innovation, that's the right way to go, it is the right way to industrialize.
With the introduction of this new concept of innovation and industrialization, what are some of the fears you still have as a young person embarking on a new idea and a new concept? What are some of the challenges you feel might prevent some people from becoming entrepreneurs?
The major stumbling blocks which entrepreneurs face nowadays that they lack funding for their different or their various business projects they want to venture in, on the basis that they do not have the ideal platforms to showcase their business views, or they don't have the right skills to be able to run those business projects.
Basically, one of the main points you've brought up are that there is not adequate skill set for some of these major gaps that we have in the industry that youth are not particularly filling up at the moment.
That's the real problem which we are facing, but we have seen that with the introduction of Education 5.0, we have the construction of innovation hubs whereby we are able to showcase our projects, creating a platform for us to be able to be seen by prospective sponsors or prospective business partners who are able to nurture our talent or to groom us on different perspectives or different skills which we have.
In your opinion, would you say that these innovation hubs are very popular amidst the youth or are only known to specific clusters of the youth?
No, these innovation hubs are very familiar with every person as the government tried to evenly distribute them. You see the construction of innovation hub in industrial parks in different cities, in different areas, so as to create an enabling environment so that young individuals are able to think of something new. Of course, yes, they've got ideas, but they do not have the right platform to showcase the ideas. So, by being given the right platform, being given the right material, being nurtured, your business project being nurtured, enabling the individual to market, to exactly market this business project in the right format, also initiating something that will bring changes into the market in the right perspective.
We talk more on perspective and how innovation and industrialization continues to play a key role in entrepreneurship and affects the youth of today. Join us in the next segment. Welcome to the second segment of Economic Forum, where we are discussing education and how it has affected the youth in matters of entrepreneurship. Now, TINASHE, before we went on the break, we were discussing matters that were concerning how lack of funding can be one of the key elements that prevent some of the youth from delving into the field of entrepreneurship and starting their own businesses. But a wise person once said, when you don't have all that you have, you use what you can and you do what you can do. So is it really just a matter of lacking funding? And there are other skills that people can utilize, especially the youth, with this innovation going around, that can help them to start their own businesses?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. But you know what? On the basis of different fields which you major in, specifically, you may need equipment. For example, I'm in the field of IT, software technology. So I may need equipment which is not viable nowadays, maybe from our local markets. So I cannot afford to buy that equipment for my IT programming. But yes, I can start with what I have, but it's a longer process. Rather than being given a platform to showcase my project idea, they evaluate that project idea so that they may come up with possible ways whereby I can get possible funding in a much quicker way. So with this problem of lack of funding, we are just talking about the quickening of this process of funding projects so as to cater for that time which was lost by specializing in an education system whereby we are actually producing workers rather than job creators.
But TINASHE, here we're talking about entrepreneurship. We're talking about building something from the ground up, something that takes a long time. How can we quicken that process by waiting for appropriate funding when we can use what we have? Like you mentioned, you're in the IT sector, correct?
Yes.
And so you need certain equipment. Don't you think if you were to bunch up with some of the peers that might have that equipment, it would better help you to project an idea to go to the next level?
You know what, Farah? From my own perspective, working under somebody, that's why we talk about entrepreneurship, we talk about being your own boss. So working under somebody, you do not really express or showcase your ideas just because that person really thinks of another perspective of doing business, you understand? So I would not really encourage people or entrepreneurs to partner with other people already in business just because you are not going to have that platform to express your own views, or you'll be later disappointed just because they don't take your views. They have their own means of doing business. So with entrepreneurship, talk about being your own boss. That's the main basis of entrepreneurship. Running your own business in your own way. You understand? So I think the only solution to this problem of funding is to create a platform whereby we have seen other financial institutions creating incubation hubs. You understand? So this, they saw that it was a major problem. It was a major stumbling block. Just because everybody got an idea, a very brilliant idea, better expressed in their own means, in their own ways. But were they able to run that idea or turn it into a business? No. Venturing on what? The problem of funding. So I think the efficient method or the faster way to keep this problem is through the coming up of platforms whereby they actually identify successful projects and they run with those successful projects. Yes.
Earlier on, we mentioned the fact that lack of funding is not the only reason why you can have a failed project.
Yes.
So now, diverting away from lack of funding being one of the main reasons that prevents people from starting up a business project, what do you think are some of the reasons why the youth end up not implementing their business ideas to become actual businesses that operate in a functionality in the economy?
The major blame is to put on the previous education system, the education system 3.0, whereby actually people were fed with information to be workers in the colonial industries, which was not the right idea. Just because it didn't create that platform for what? For being innovators, for being people who run your own businesses. Just because you're being fed into what? A pre-existing industry, understand? The education system was not producing people who would actually produce goods and services. It was producing workers, people who were being fed with information to work for existing industries, as you can see. Yes.
So now we're looking at that transition. You mentioned education 3.0
Yeah.
and the transition to education 5.0,
Yes.
where previously there was focus on teaching, research, and community work.
Yes.
And now focus is being placed on the innovation and industrialization we have been discussing prior to this.
Yes.
Now, how do you feel that is there enough opportunity being created for the students, the youth, to take advantage of that new information, that new knowledge they're acquiring on how to be dynamic in order to apply to the economy and to add something sufficient to the economy?
With the education 3.0, as some people say, an education system is not an education system if it doesn't produce goods and services, it doesn't produce products and services, you understand? So you cannot say a person got the required education if you can't produce services or goods, if you can't provide those things, you understand? So with coming in of education 5.0, we have seen the government allocating at least 1% GDP towards the construction of innovation hub, like I said before. So this have been meant as platforms to showcase our project. You have seen the government fully funding other projects which has been handed over by the universities, different universities. We have seen the Middle State University running the usefulness of natural indigenous trees and herbs towards the development of pharmaceuticals drugs, which plays a major crucial role, as you see that nowadays we have drug shortages, not just because we import most of our drugs, but if we are able to make our own drugs, if we are able to fully fund our own local drugs, we are able to keep that problem of lack of availability of drugs. Yes.
But the question still remains, do you think that there's sufficient support towards students who are in the local academic institutions for them to properly implement their business ideas, their concepts, anything that they've then wanted to apply in the economy?
Yeah, I think there's sufficient support, but more needs to be done, like allocation of more GDP towards the supply of necessary equipment needed by us students in developing our own projects or our own business idea. As you can see, the government is nowadays just strategically implementing a few business concepts which it sees are major breakthroughs, you understand. But there are many other business projects which have not yet been funded due to just the small amount of GDP being allocated towards innovation, you understand. So a lot needs to be done in terms of allocating more budget towards innovation, just because that's the major strategic drive of industrialization.
We take a closer look at how we can continue to support entrepreneurs and the youth in the economy. Join us in the third segment. This is the third and final segment of Economic Forum, where we are discussing matters that concern the youth's engagement in business and entrepreneurship. TINASHE, you mentioned that a key element of being an entrepreneur is being your own boss. I understand that having that kind of freedom and independence is something that's very important and financially liberating as a young person. But another key element of entrepreneurship and starting your own business is creating employment. And you as an entrepreneur, what have you done to contribute towards creating employment with your own project?
As an entrepreneur, I saw that the universities were not doing that much in skill development in young individuals. especially after attaining the basic knowledge they need in running their own businesses. So I managed to identify this problem and put another solution whereby I created a company which specializes in system designs as a base, but what we really major in is rediscovering, upgrooming of the special skills in which each and every entrepreneur got or has talent in. Yes.
So how many people do you have employed under your project?
Under my project, I've employed 7 people at the moment who are running the various departments depending on the type of knowledge and skill they have.
As an entrepreneur, obviously, you have plans that concern expansion and growth.
Yes.
How do you plan to incorporate more people from the different universities, as you said, to help grow their skill sets?
When I was structuring this project, which I am implementing right now, I saw it crucial to decentralize the rate at which I employ people, measuring on different universities. I ought to create a platform whereby I select a member from each and every university so as to create an atmosphere that people do not create that ideology that we just only measure people in Harare. No, we also measure people in Gweru, people in Bulawayo, people in Shawani. Yes.
Which is a wonderful initiative that you have going on. But a crucial aspect that I also want to question you on is when you're engaging these different people from these different local universities, what is the network that you're trying to create? What inspired you to have that decentralized organizational structure? What prompted you to do that?
The reason behind the decentralization of this project is that, as you can currently see, business do not have the right ideology or the right reflection of the person they may be hiring as an employee, you understand? So with this project, I was trying to create a platform whereby business actually recruit a person on value of the skills he actually have attained or the skills she or he actually have, you understand? So with this project, we're able to advertise people's different skills on different fields of work relating to what they've done before, so that business have a good ideology or have a clear background view of what the person they're employing, what they expect, and how that person will run that business. Yes.
How do you then make sure that whoever is employed at a different company, you said you make sure that you market your people, the people within your organization,
Yes.
or your project rather to say, that you market them? How do you then achieve that to make sure that each person is specifically specialized for that company which they're pitching to?
This project will be multi-departmental in the event that we are going to cover all aspects, be it the commercial aspect, be it the science aspect, be it the arts aspect, you understand? So with this various departments, businesses, as you can see nowadays, may have different advertising programs based on the type of season they're in. So already you've structured our programs in such a way that for every program we have somebody with a special skill in that program. We are developing that special skill, we are grooming that special skill so that it is up to standard, so that she or he is the basic requirement, the basic information in that program. Yes.
I like the fact that you mentioned that you have people from different faculties, the arts faculty, the IT, but you are IT specialized.
Yes.
Do you think that with the Education 5.0, innovation and industrialization, that it speaks to encouraging entrepreneurs who are in the IT, maybe technology sectors, as much as it speaks to entrepreneurs who might be looking to start more creative-based industries, such as your liberal arts, your literature? Do you think that it speaks to them in the same way that it does for entrepreneurs who are in mainstream businesses?
Yes, the Education 5.0 specifically speaks about innovation, you understand? Better and efficient methods of what? Doing business. Better and efficient methods of running a business, you understand? So with with Education 5.0, you're actually able to identify other efficient methods through the platforms which have been availed by the different ways in which the government has approached how to unveil the skills in young individuals, you understand? So businesses, mainstream businesses, are able also to identify possible ways to improve their own businesses rather on basing on seeing the different business ideas or the different business projects or the different major breakthroughs in their different fields. So they are able also to intervene or able also to partner with these young entrepreneurs who are still venturing this market, so as to create that atmosphere of running efficient business projects. Yes.
One thing I also took away from what you just said is that there's an important aspect of everyone being incorporated into this new dimension of innovation and industrialization, correct?
Yes.
So now we're looking at how we can delve deeper into that. Looking as an entrepreneur yourself, how were you exposed to these different channels where you could then sit down and say, I think I can start my project today?
Okay, as you can see, nowadays the employment rate is actually low. People are actually closing their industries just because they do not have the right ideology or they do not have the right information to run their businesses in their tomorrow's lives, you understand? So I thought it as an individual, I don't want to be an employee, I don't want to work for somebody. I actually want to generate my own idea, run my own business based on the information which I receive or the information which I acquired during my study of economics. So I say it is a crucial step that if we are able to realize this as young individuals, maybe you can bear with me that if you have 12,000 graduates in a year, it also mean that you have 12,000 new jobs. That will be the way to industrialize, that will be the way to drive economic growth, just because we are having new jobs entering the market and to phasing out odd jobs. Yes.
So your main inspiration was to create employment?
Yes, to create employment.
All right, so what do you think would be the driving factor for others? Because as you said, the important thing is to be exposed to information. What do you think can be done in the respect of exposing students to more information regarding how they can turn their business concepts into actual, physical, tangible businesses?
I think more is to be done by universities in the sense of exposing young individuals to more information or adequate information and also developing the skill, which is the most crucial. So when you learn something, you should be able to develop something. Even when you are exposed to a problem, you should be able to come up with an exact solution. So you don't speak about coming up with solutions which are not going to be implemented into the market. So that area of skill development has to be measured. They have to focus more on skill development, you understand? Just because that's the crucial step which has to be known by each and every individual towards achieving whatever they want to achieve in their businesses.
So speaking to the question of entrepreneurship, there's a common debate that usually goes on about entrepreneurs. Are they born or are they made?
Entrepreneurs are not born, but entrepreneurs are made just because you acquire information, you acquire the necessary skills, then you develop that skill to become a real project. So I cannot basically say or support the answer that entrepreneurs are actually born. No, entrepreneurs are born. Anybody can be an entrepreneur, basing on the acquired knowledge and basing on the acquired skill to drive the certain business agenda you have. That's why you hear some people saying that people got different business plans, they got different business ideas, they got different things or different ways to do their own business. That's why we say being an entrepreneur means being your own boss, meaning that you're running your own idea, you're running your own business, you're running your own things in your own perspective, in your own way. So you cannot say that entrepreneurs are born. No, you cannot say that.
This was TINASHE MUZITE, a young student and entrepreneur helping to discuss youth's involvement in Education 5.0, innovation, and industrialization. It was a pleasure having you along. From me, Rufaro Tafa, and the crew behind the scenes, pleasant viewing.